Every single day, Russia's shadow fleet sails along Europe's coasts, hauling crude oil to India and China. A fleet of more than 600 aging tankers banned from European ports, with fake or even no insurance. Every single day, nearly 2 million barrels of crude squeeze through the narrow strait between Denmark and Sweden. Vessels that should have been scrapped long ago now gamble with Europe's environment like a game of Russian roulette. So what could happen? We don't need to imagine. It already has. Picture northern Spain, breathtaking beaches, white sand, towering cliffs, some of Europe's richest fishing waters. Villages where families lived from the sea for centuries. And in November 2002, all of this vanished in days. One ship, one crack, and an entire coastline drowned in black crude oil. How could this happen? Did the authorities act wisely, or did their decisions make things worse? Who ended up carrying the blame? And most importantly, did Europe truly learn its lesson, or are we standing on the edge of another disaster? This is the story of the tanker Prestige, the disaster that changed everything, and the warning we may be ignoring. In November 2002, the Prestige, a 26-year-old Greek-owned oil tanker, sailed loaded with nearly 77,000 tons of Russian heavy fuel oil along the coast of Galicia, Spain. Her mission was simple: deliver crude oil. But her hull was old, her condition questionable, and her journey would soon turn into one of the worst environmental disasters in history. On November 13th, the weather in the Bay of Biscay was harsh. Gale-force winds of force 8 to 9 on the Beaufort scale, and heavy seas with waves up to 6 to 8 meters. For a vessel like the Prestige, 243 meters long, the length of 2 football fields, these conditions were challenging, but should have been manageable. At about 15:10 local time, while nearly crossing the Bay of Biscay and about 28 miles off Cape Finisterre, Galicia, the ship suffered a critical blow. A crack appeared on her starboard side. Water flooded into an empty ballast tank. The vessel began to list heavily. The crew acted quickly, pumping ballast into the opposite side to steady her. But it came at a cost. The draft increased dangerously to 16 meters. Stability improved, but the stress on her aging hull worsened.
Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Captain Apostolos Mangouras issued a distress call and contacted Spanish authorities in La Coruña, requesting evacuation of part of the crew and tug assistance. Search and rescue helicopters lifted off immediately from La Coruña airport, evacuating 24 of the 27 crew members. The captain, chief engineer, and 1 officer remained on board to try to save the ship. 2 tugs were dispatched to assist. For now, the Prestige is still alive. What happens next will decide the fate of half a continent's coastline. Do you bring the wounded ship into port and risk a pollution near shore? Or do you tow it out to sea and gamble with the entire Atlantic? Spain chose the second, and that choice changed everything. The captain requested a safe harbor to repair the ship and secure her cargo, but Spanish authorities refused. Instead, they ordered the tanker to be towed away from the coast. The salvage tug Ria de Vigo was the first to arrive. The remaining crew attempted to connect a tow line, but rough seas made the effort difficult. The Prestige drifted dangerously close to shore. After several failed attempts, a tow line was finally secured. The Spanish government confirmed the order. The Prestige must be pulled offshore, not into port. Meanwhile, the ship's management company, Universe Maritime Limited, contracted the Dutch firm SMIT Salvage, one of the world's leading marine salvage companies, to assist. On the morning of November 14, 2002, the salvage team, including salvage master Captain João de Figueiredo, was airlifted by helicopter onto the Prestige. The team took charge of stabilizing the vessel, attempting to correct her list, pump out ballast, and coordinate towing operations. But they immediately faced conflicting orders. Captain de Figueiredo recommended moving the tanker to a sheltered port for repairs. Spanish authorities refused. Requests to France and Portugal for shelter were also denied. The answer was always the same: tow the problem ship as far offshore as possible. Nobody wants the Prestige. This decision would prove fateful. Meanwhile, in fishing villages along Galicia's coast, families watch the horizon, waiting. They know what's coming. They just don't know when. November 15th, the last crew and salvors are lifted off. The ship is left unmanned. She is a ghost ship, drifting, leaking, and unwanted. The captain, arrested ashore, accused of disobedience, while his ship still fights for life in the storm. Over the following 4 days, Spanish tugs battled storms, attempting to pull the dying ship away from the coast and minimize the damage to Spain's shores. But nature does not forgive neglect. Finally, on November 19th, 2002, 5 days after the first crack appeared, the Prestige broke in two and sank 3,500 meters below the surface. 63,000 tons of thick, toxic fuel oil burst free. 2,300 kilometers of coastline coated in sludge. One of Europe's greatest fishing grounds, gone. Tourism gone. Wildlife poisoned. The total estimated economic, environmental, and social impacts from the Prestige oil spill is nearly $5 billion. But how the marine life and destruction of ecosystem can be measured by US dollars. The next months looked like a war. Tens of thousands of volunteers in white suits and with buckets, scraping black sludge off beaches by hand. Fishermen broke down in tears, unable to sail. Birds, dolphins, and fish died in their thousands. Spain called it La Marea Negra, the black tide. Then came the blame game. The captain, Apostolos Mangouras, arrested, humiliated, facing decades in court. The ship's owners, Universe Maritime, accused of hiding the tanker's true condition. Germanischer Lloyd, the classification society, questioned for certifying a ship with known structural problems. The London P&I Club dragged into endless lawsuits over insurance payouts. The trials dragged on for 14 years. In the end, real prison time, just for Captain Mangouras. And what about the charter company or the cargo owner, linked to a Russian oligarch? The impact, nothing, absolutely nothing. The case became a symbol of failure, a lesson in negligence, politics, and environmental risk. Now fast forward to today. Europe swore the Prestige would be the last disaster of its kind. New rules, new inspections, new safety codes, but the shadow fleet has brought the risk back, bigger than ever. Every day, 600 aging tankers carrying millions of barrels sail through Europe's backyard. Every day, one crack, one storm, one wrong decision could repeat the Prestige on an even greater scale. The question isn't if, it's when. And when it happens, will we be ready?